Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leader in rushing, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside a wounded, beat up, banged up Jacob. We're dealing with a little bit of illness, so I'm excited to have him in here. Obviously, maybe a little bit limited. Maybe, I don't know, probably a snap count today, I would imagine, is what we got you on here, Jacob. Hopefully you get to feeling better soon, man. I know there's a lot of stuff going around this time of year. It's a beautiful time of the year, especially you get those in between the cold and the hot. You get those beautiful fall/early winter afternoons. But, man, oh, man, the weather change messes you up, don't it?
Yeah, daylight savings time, the weather. I'll be honest, this all stemmed from Monday night. I was screaming so loud that I lost my voice that night, if you remember, and that turned into a sore throat, which then turned into, I think I got the flu or something. But I'm going to muscle through, try to do it, keep pushing.
Some would say that you're going to, what's the right way of putting this?
I put the team on my back, dude.
There it is. Some would say that. So,
but I have country style ribs slow cooking right now, and I'm so excited to get those going. So
yeah. Country style ribs will cure any illness for sure, man. So now it's good to have you back in here. I know Tim's busy today. Emilio probably still ain't out of bed. So we're going to get in here, and here's what's on tap, guys. We're going to do the PFF preview. We're going to show how our offense matches up against the Giants defense, how their offense matches up against our defense, and then we're going to go around the league and show you guys the weekly matchups and the playoff implications that are already in effect, which is absolutely exciting to me. I love this time of year for sure, man. So, Jacob, anything you see in the chat, just mark it for me, and I'll keep an eye on the mark tabs, and we'll hit them as we go, man.
Yeah, Nick McSwain found out the culprit here. He said Jacob used a bowl without cleaning it. That's a rookie move, and I admit it. It was a rookie move.
It happens to all of us, man. You kidding me? It's just part of the gig. You live and learn, or as my coach used to say in high school, some people live and learn, and some people just live. You know what I mean? That's the way it goes. So Jacob's just living, but. Good morning to you, Rob. Appreciate you swinging through, buddy. All right, let's dive into it, guys. Let's start now with the PFF preview, and this is going to be their offense. Actually, I want to go our offense first. Let me reset this. I apologize. You can tell this is a well-oiled machine. Let's go our offense against their defense. Jacob, can you see that okay, man?
Yep, looks good.
All right, cool. So, again, these are PFF grades. It's not the tell-all, be-all, right? Like, this is something we talk about all the time. I like to see how players are progressing in PFF's eyes. And then, of course, we'll watch the tape later in the week after the game, just like we do every single week. And we'll kind of see if we agree with them or not. But this is the PFF preview. Let's start in the backfield here. Jordan Love, 79.4. He's the ninth highest graded quarterback in the league right now. Josh Jacobs, 80.5. He's the sixth highest graded running back in the league currently. Moving to the offensive line from left to right, Rasheed Walker, 68. Aaron Banks, 53. Sean Ryan, 55. Jordan Morgan, 54. Zach Tom, 81. All right, let's just stop for a second and talk about, like I said, the QB, the running back, and the 5-0 lineman here. Rasheed Walker really starting to improve. It seems like he's getting more and more consistent as the year goes along. Zach Tom is Zach Tom. I felt like Sean Ryan played pretty damn good in that game against the Eagles. I know it was not a full slate of snaps. Aaron Banks, to me, Jacob, seems like the weakest link on the offensive line right now, but it does kind of fluctuate between Aaron to Jordan Morgan and sometimes Elton. And now, of course, Elton's out of the lineup. I'm really, really eager to see how Sean Ryan handles this opportunity at center. But how do you feel about the O-line? And obviously, you can hit on the quarterback play and the running back play there as well. I think the grades speak for themselves. I definitely agree with about where those guys are ranked for sure.
Yeah, like you said, I think the rankings there for both Love and Jacobs is totally fair, and probably a lot of Packer fans would probably be surprised to see that if they don't watch PFF like a hawk, because in a lot of people's eyes, for whatever reason, they think that both those guys are playing bad, which is just kind of crazy. But as far as the offensive line goes, I mean, I think the grades kind of speak for themselves. Like you said, we know what we have in Walker. We obviously know what we have in Tom, and the way that he just seems to kind of be I would argue probably an elite player, at least getting to be an elite player. And then definitely the weakness is the interior offensive line. And to your point, yeah, Banks, I don't want to sound like you mentioned earlier. We try to keep it, we're definitely the glass half full type podcast here for the Packers organization. But I think every now and then we have to admit that as of right now, the Banks signing looks very suspect, and it's tough to have to see that. And Ryan, to your point, I think that when he came in, he did look pretty serviceable. And I thought maybe way more comfortable than I thought he'd be. I'll say that. And then Morgan, it's still early for him. I want to, preferably I'd have him on the left side, but it is what it is. I think for him being such a high draft pick, he needs to start showing us a little more. It's just the truth of it.
Yeah, and it's tough for me. Listen, with Morgan, or let's start with Banks, Aaron Banks, and who was it that tweeted out? Someone tweeted out about it yesterday, and it's so true. It's hard for me to just jump in and go, Aaron Banks isn't a good football player because he's been banged up the entire time. He come into camp hurt, missed a lot of camp, and then it's kind of played through injuries. I think now he's finally getting to where he's healthy. Although, listen, man, we say you can't make the club in the tub, and there's no excuses. Whether you're banged up or not, if you don't perform, you're going to be gone. And many people think we're stuck with Aaron Banks if he is a swing and a miss on free agency. But the reality is, guys, it's a 1-year deal essentially. You gave up $27 million fully guaranteed, or $27 million guaranteed at signing, right? And yes, it's a $77 million contract, but the reality is, if you cut him after this year, you free up a little less than $4 million on the cap next year. So you can call it a one and done. I don't know if they'll do that. I'm not saying that. I'm just simply saying that is on the table. They did the same thing with Hobbs. It's essentially a 1+3 club option years is really what it comes down to. So with that being said, if it is a swing and a miss on Aaron Banks and they don't feel like it's the injuries that's holding them back, they could move on fairly quick. So that is worth mentioning there. Moving along now, let's look at their defensive line compared to our offensive line. We'll kind of keep that matchup going, and then we'll move to the linebackers and tight ends. So at right edge, they've got Carter, 68.4. And then, let's just go from left to right from our perspective, from the offense's perspective. So when I say from left to right, obviously it's from their right to left. 68.4 for Carter on the edge. Robertson Harris, all right, with a 57.1. Then you got Lawrence, 74.1, and Burns, 78.3. Now, you guys do your own research there. There may be some injuries that's keeping some of these guys out. I think they're all in the lineup. Obviously, Thibodeau is not listed here, and he's a guy who's going to be missing this game. So it'll be really, really interesting to kind of see how their pass rush does. I feel like their pass rush has been decent, although their defensive numbers are pretty bad. Points per play, points per play allowed defensively, they're 25th in the league right now. So very, very bad scoring defense, essentially really a bottom, I guess you could say bottom 7 or 8. Right. So now tight ends, Musgrave being the starting tight end for the Packers in 11 personnel, 74.3. We've seen a lot of mixing and matching last week. Really, really cool watching them bring in Wiley, line him up in the U flex, and then motioning him into the backfield and putting him in the I set and the offset I set. And what they did there was they actually ran strong side, like a 26 pitch, right? A 26 toss. And then they came back with an offset to the left. So you went strong right, offset left, if I remember correctly, and they did a 25 toss, and then later came with a play action pass off of that same look. So look for more Wiley. That worked. That was 2 explosive runs in the running game there against Philly. A good defense, guys. Philly's scoring defense is not the best in the league in terms of points per play allowed. Okay, so that was a legit top 10 defense in that regard. Now, look for more of Wiley being in the lineup, but when you're looking to go down the field or work out of a true 11 personnel or maybe even spread things out in 11, you're going to see Musgrave out there. He's a 54.3 compared to their linebackers. They got Okereke, 53.1, and then Flanagan Fowles is who they're showing in their nickel set. Let's just do a quick little flip here to their base and make sure there's not someone we're missing. So when they go to the 34 look, you'll see Dexter Lawrence is going to be playing nose, 74.1 on the defensive front, right? And then Burns kicks out to outside linebacker. So those are their 2 linebackers you're going to be facing, whether you're in 11 or base. You really like your matchup against their backers. So look for stuff over the middle of the field. Listen, if I know Packers Twitter got very, very divided last week. People were making it sound as if Matt LaFleur was a horrible schemer and his offense sucks and this and that. I really, really highly recommend everybody go watch Kurt Warner's breakdown of that game. Okay. Kurt Warner, Hall of Fame player, knows what he's talking about. Obviously, I want to give a shout out to Bob Noxious, who suggested it in our Patreon group, but You go watch Kurt break that down, and he's not taking 2 plays, 3 plays. He's not limited like us. He'll take 45 minutes and just break down the passing game. There were guys open the entire game. Had nothing to do with the scheme, just a bad day for Jordan Love. That's the reality of the situation. And hearing Kurt say that the quarterback had a bad day, anybody who watches his videos, he typically leans towards giving the quarterback's perspective of here's why he ran it this way. Here's why he struggled, right? Like it wasn't just him, it was around him. The majority of what he talked about in his video was no, it was Jordan Love not getting the ball out on time, that type of thing. So again, good players have bad games. It's just the reality of it. But Jacob, I like our matchup here against their linebackers. Maybe Musgrave breaks out a little bit, or maybe we do get a high scoring offensive game finally for the Packers here. As obviously we've struggled the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I like what you said about Wiley too, because I don't think we got a lot of. At least I didn't get a chance to talk to you about him. I was really surprised, one, at how much we actually used him, how fluid he seemed in the offense already, and how he's got an interesting body type. He seems more long and a little bit kind of lengthy, but still has enough kind of power to him. So he's just I had not seen him play. Was this the first time that he got elevated to the NFL, or is this because he's been a practice squad guy, right?
Yeah, so he played with Tennessee. I wish they had him on here, and of course it won't let me. I'd have to go to another screen to pull him up. But he played for Tennessee a full year. I want to say last year he did not play many snaps, and they went and poached him. I don't know if he was on Tennessee's roster or not this year, but he's definitely one of those. He's a U top tight end, no doubt about it. Just one of these guys that's going to move around, be more of a blocking tight end, but he can go into the backfield. And like you said, you look at his build and you think he don't look like a fullback, but he's really, really sticky in his run blocks coming out of the backfield. I did notice that about the tape. So yeah, I think it's a way for LaFleur to utilize him to get the running game going, because when you shift to a 2-back set, when you bring that guy into the backfield, most of the time the defense will now look at it like it's a 2-gap scheme, as opposed to, like LaFleur always says, 2 backs equals 2 gaps, right? If you're in an A set, most teams can just, unless they're in a true 34 front, which is what the Giants run, they'll go to just a 1-gap approach. But the fact that they're in a 34, they'll probably be 2-gapping anyway. So that's what Philly did too. And you kind of match that 2-gap with bringing a second back into the backfield. So there you go. Bates with the important information. Waived on August 26th by Tennessee due to roster cuts. Signed to the Packers practice squad on August 28th. So yeah, Tennessee probably it ended amazing. We picked this dude up from one of the worst teams in the league, and he's contributing in our running game. But Tennessee just ain't got a spot for him down there, being absolute cheese. It's wild to think about. So thank you for that information, Bates. They're showing Fitzpatrick here. I wish they showed Wiley, because Wiley seemed to get more snaps than Fitzpatrick last week. But again, there were times too that when we went 12 personnel, Jacob, we put Musgrave on the bench and brung in Fitzpatrick and Wiley, right? I think both of those times that we had those explosive plays, Musgrave was on the bench. Then you go back to 11, bring Musgrave back in, and you can kind of attack. He's a receiver. Musgrave is an oversized receiver is what he is. So moving along here, let's switch it back to 11, all right, and take a look at against their nickel. Let's look at their cornerbacks now to our receivers. Let's start with our receivers. Romeo Doubs, 68. Dontavion Wicks, 66. Christian Watson, 73. I think there's a good chance Matthew Golden plays tomorrow. He's questionable as it sits right now. So is our boy Savion Williams. Now, matching up those guys against their DBs, they've got Flott at a 71.2. On the other side, you got Paulson Adebo at a 52.2. And then in the slot, they've got Phillips at a 57.7. So obviously outside of Flott, who's having a pretty good year, although his career has been 67, 53, 62, 71. I don't think he's like a dominant corner by no stretch of the imagination. You should be able to attack in the passing game here, but I'm of the opinion you don't want to get too far away from the run, man. You got to make sure that you keep the running game going here. It's also an opportunity because they've got the worst run defense in the league. I'm not exaggerating. Yards per carry allowed, Jacob, their run defense is dead last in the league.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that, most weeks, if we can establish the run, it's a good thing, and I just feel like it's been kind of sputtering throughout the season. But as of late, I don't blame Josh Jacobs. I think he runs about as hard as anybody in the NFL. And if this defense will give us, I don't know what the exact yards per carry are, but if it's the worst in the league, then I say we definitely hammer him early and often. Maybe try to set up some play action stuff. But I mean, you look at that secondary too. I mean, it looks like if Jordan Love is playing his type of game, the Toyota-thon type of Jordan Love, that he should be able to pick these guys apart pretty easy. I do kind of worry about their D-line just because there are some good individual players, but it doesn't feel like this defense plays cohesive at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at their safety room, Holland 58.1, Belton 59.1. So again, our receivers, I feel like we have the edge over their DB room. I feel like our running game and our mid-passing game has the advantage over their stack backers. They're extremely banged up. They're without their starting quarterback. They're going to Jameis Winston. Again, I can understand how fans feel good about that. I can understand how fans hate that, right?
Dude,
and
guys love playing for Winston.
What's that?
Guys love playing for that guy. James.
Oh, absolutely, man. There's not going to be anybody on the field going, I don't know about this guy. They're going to be ready to play because they do love him, man.
He's a character, bro.
It's wild to think about Jameis Winston and Scatabo being in that same locker room. Could you imagine? Oh, my God. I'd love to be a fly on the wall for that. So,
yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. So, moving along here, again, that's just kind of how we stack up against their defense, our offense against their defense. If you guys are watching this video back later, let us know in the comments what you think about how the Packers offense matches up against the Giants defense. Is this going to be another one of those games where it's a nail biter? Is this the game that the Packers finally put together their offensive attack and go out there and kind of dominate? We'll see how it goes, but we want to hear from you guys in the comments. Make sure you hit subscribe and click that bell icon so you're notified every time we go live here in the future. All right, Jacob, let's switch gears now, man, and let's jump over to our defense against their offense. All right, so obviously Jameis Winston does not have a grade yet this year, but when you look at his career grades, I got to be real, man. It's pretty consistent. Yeah. 68, 72, 73, 69, 68, 43, but minimal snaps, 74, 65, 56, 73. So, again, man, he's one of those quarterbacks that, you look at the grades, you think, oh, he's consistent. But it's also one of those situations, too, where, as Darius J. Butler said on the McAfee show the other day, he may go out there and throw you 4 or 5 touchdowns. He may throw you 4 or 5 picks, nothing in between, right? So he's going to take you shots. There's no doubt about it. But how do you feel about our matchup here against Winston? Man, 73.4 last year, pretty damn good, man. There's a lot of QBs in the league with lesser grade than that. He graded out as the 24th best quarterback for the PFF.
Yeah, I mean, I think his career, that's kind of his career arc, is that he's a really good backup and a guy that can come in a pinch and actually win you games. He's got an extremely large arm still. He can huck that thing down the field pretty effortlessly. It's just his consistency has always been key, and kind of him, just being a little wild every now and then, honestly, on and off the field. He sounds like he's a great guy, but he's just plays a little like his personality is just all over the place, which is sometimes fun. And sometimes, like you said, if he's on your team, you're probably gripping your couch a little too hard. So I'm not too worried about him, but he does show the capability that he can definitely make plays. So I think we just have to come out. Our defense is played really well. I'm sure you've covered it, but what Jalen Hurts saying that that's the best defense we played all year.
Yeah.
And he said it very truthfully. I don't think that was coach speak or player speak, whatever you want to call it. He looked genuine about that compliment there. So I think that if that type of defense comes in and has to play against Jameis Winston that's coming off the bench, I like our chances.
Definitely. And I'm glad you bring that up, too, because that was cool hearing him talk about. If you guys haven't heard that, you can just go to Twitter and type in Jalen Hurts Packers, and you should see it. Just a quick little soundbite of him talking about the Packers defense. He did say the best defense, right?
Oh, hands down. He clarified pretty,
this is the best defense I've played against this year. So, again, defense playing championship caliber football. If the offense can get it together as they get healthier, obviously, it's going to be huge, man. It's a big blow losing Tucker Kraft, man. It's just huge. That dude did so much in the run game and the pass game. He's your leading receiver. But again, man, nobody's feeling sorry for you. You got to go out there and put it together for sure. All right, so in the backfield, they're showing Tyrone Tracy. You guys know we were really big on him in the draft. I remember talking about him. Our boy Greg Cosell loved him. He ended up being a 5th-round pick, 167 selection. Got to watch out for him. He could break one at any moment, but he's grading out a 63 currently right now. And their offensive line from left to right at left tackle, solid. Andrew Thomas, 86.9. He's the 3rd highest graded tackle in the league right now. So 62, 78, 90, 76, 75, 86 are his career grades. At left guard, you remember this name, Mr. John Runyon Jr. He's grading out a 53.8. You can see his career is, I mean, he's declined the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, right? So you got to tip your cap to Goody. It was a good move letting him walk, although he loved being a Packer, right? It is what it is. At center, you got Schlottman, a 66.2. Not bad there. Van Roten, that's another former Packer, if I remember correctly. We had him for a short time, I believe. Might have been earlier in his career, but he's grading out a 63.3. I think he was actually undrafted, if I remember correct. And then you got Illuminor, if I'm saying that right. Illuminor, maybe is how you say it, 63.7 at right tackle. So, again, left tackle, solid. Center, not bad. Everything else is just kind of meh, right? Nothing to write home about. On our defensive front, we're showing Kingsley Enagbare. This is our nickel set, okay? Kingsley Enagbare at a 69.0, Rashawn Gary 69.9. They've got Micah Parsons lined up in that 3-tech. So this is showing our cheetah package, even though PFF's wrong here. We don't put Parsons in the middle in our cheetah package. We typically put him on the edge unless we're running our 3-3-5 Joker 1. And in this case, 91.6 is Parsons' grade, 2nd highest graded edge defender in all of football. Devontae Wyatt sitting at a 63. So, again, keep in mind, guys, that when you go to 11 personnel or when they go to 11, we go to nickel, it's not always going to be the cheetah package. Although if LVN is healthy, what you're going to see is Parsons would be outside where Enagbare is, and you'd have LVN playing where Parsons is right now. He would play the 3-tech in a 4-down front with the cheetah package. Now, I'm going to switch it to base just to show you guys Wooden's grade. A good chunk of the time, Jacob, you're going to have your normal nickel 4-2-5, and with that being the case, Wooden would probably step in. The general at a 64.9, grading out higher than Devontae Wyatt this year. Wooden put a lot on tape. The team really likes him. He improved tremendously this year. He's been playing mostly 1-tech, kind of nose essentially, right? Which is really, really cool to see. So that's our defensive front against their offensive line. What are your thoughts on that, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, I think that their offensive line is kind of in some ways similar to ours, but without the, they've got the really good left tackle. We've got the really good right tackle. And then you kind of got 4 guys that are, I wouldn't say middle of the road. I think that's given too much hate to Walker. I think that our tackles are playing great. But if you look at this, I think that like the people you just talked about, Wooden, the general, and Mr. Wyatt could maybe take advantage of some of the poor offensive line play on their end and really not let Tracy establish any sort of run. I like Theo Johnson, that rookie. I think he's a 2nd-year tight end that they have. I think that he shows some spurts of being decent, but he's still obviously really young. I liked him at Penn State. But other than that, man, I mean, they talk about a team that got absolutely gutted when Malik Neighbors went down. They just don't seem to have a lot of weapons on offense. And it's just tough, obviously, with Dart, with Scadaboo, with all the injuries. It's a wonder that this team is even hanging together. I mean, obviously, that's probably why Dayball got let go. And they're just in complete kind of coast mode, I would assume, right now. But that being said, a guy like Winston could come in and give a spark plug to a team like that, just at that specific reason, because they're looking for something to gravitate to. But I don't know, man. It just seems like if that defense, I keep forgetting that Valentine ranks the way he does, that, Parsons is the second. There's no real excuse on defense because I feel like the defense hasn't gotten a lot of respect that it's earned this whole season, just because we've been squeaking out these really tough losses. And what was it now? 3 games have decided by 9 points. That's not on the defense, man. I mean, these guys are putting together absolute wonderful performances just to kind of be let down a little bit, I would argue, on offense, but it's the NFL. It's what happens. So I think that we should walk into this game very confidently and perform well, but if it doesn't go our way, they get paid too, I guess.
Yeah. Listen, you can't overlook any opponent, but I really like the way the Packers match up in this one. It's just all the way across the board. If you go out and your offense struggles in this game, we've got a huge, huge problem. And again, what that means is if Jordan Love doesn't see the field like he had prior to the Eagles game, and you struggle, then hey, something's got to give, right? And again, that's not me speaking. That's Kurt Warner speaking. And after watching him break down the tape, and it's kind of what we came up with too on Chalk Talk, to be honest. Like we showed you this third down situation, Musgrave sitting open with 3-yard separation. Jordan came off it too early. On that same play, he had a curl on the three by set here. On the other side in the empty chips, he had Musgrave on a corner. He passed on the open curl. He passed on the open corner. He started with the corner, passed on the open curl, stepped up in the pocket, ends up getting sacked. So those are the things that you got to clean up. I don't care who you're playing. If you can't get to the answer to the equation when guys are schemed open, you're going to struggle against any team. So you got to get that cleaned up this week for sure. Moving along, looking at their tight end. Obviously, you said Theo Johnson, a young player, 47th highest graded tight end in the game, 59.9 against our backers. I'm going to show the base real quick because McDuffie continues to play really well, 75.8. He's the 11th highest graded linebacker in football this year. Edgerrin Cooper, 72.0 at the wheel. And those are very interchangeable. We've seen Cooper play Will, McDuffie play Sam. We've seen McDuffie play Will, Cooper play Sam. One predominant thing has been Quay Walker in the middle. However, he's, according to PFF, struggling 55.5. We showed some good and some bad with Quay last week. I do think he's playing his best football, but like there was a couple of run plays where he really triggered fast, done a great job getting in the backfield. But there was also a play where he didn't sink deep enough on a passing play and didn't give his half coverage in the quarter half look. He didn't. He should have really helped McKinney in the half side, and he didn't. With that being said, though, Cooper 72, Walker 55, McDuffie 75, Theo Johnson a 59, and then Tracy, their running back, at a 63. I like our matchup at the midline, working with their tight end or working against their tight end and their running back.
It's funny that you said that. There was a couple plays that I remember watching the game, and I can't pull them out like you can, but where it did feel like that Quay was going to cover grass and just had nothing else, where it just felt like you got to know how to, like you said, maybe drop a little deeper or just go find somebody, even though I'm sure, whatever that zone coverage is. But it did feel like that was a few times where I watched. Otherwise, I thought, like you said, he's been playing great. I really like that he feels like he doesn't hesitate anymore, that he shoots the gaps really, really like violently, has a human meat missile, if you will. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think he's playing better. It's just like you said on that one particular play there. It was a crucial play in the game where Goddard sat down for about 20 yards behind him, and you could tell that it was quarter half. Goddard working the two on the half side, and McKinney was kind of on an island out there with two guys that he had to be prepared to flip his hips and go with. I think he ended up going with the deep route on the sideline, and Quay's just kind of sitting in the middle of the field. Nobody within 20 yards of him, right? He's just kind of sitting there, right? So you got to know in that situation, okay, it's quarter off my right shoulder, half off my left, right? Meaning the cover two look. Okay, if the two on that side works deep, I've got to carry that, especially if there's nothing drifting across my face from my right, their left, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I think he'll put it together. But, again, it was a tough look there. So, moving along to their wide receivers against our DBs, they've got Gunnar Olszewski, minimal snaps, but a 73.0. Wan'Dale Robinson, boy, that is Carrington Valentine's former teammate from Kentucky. That's going to be interesting to see those two get locked up on the field together. That was two team leaders at Kentucky. I remember that. So, he's got a 69.1 out of the slot. Hodgins, no grade there. You're going, what the hell's going on with the receivers? They're extremely banged up. I think they said Slayton is out now too. So they're going to be putting together a makeshift passing game. Now, keep in mind, when Brian Daboll was there, they loved to run QB power, quarterback running game, with Jackson Dart. That's the reason Jackson Dart is out this game with a second concussion. Okay. Now, with that being said, I don't expect Jameis Winston to run a whole lot, if any, quarterback power. And now you got Kafka. I think it's Kafka taking over, right, as the interim coach. He was their OC. There's a good chance he gets promoted as the head coach, to be honest with you, at the end of the year, and they just move forward with him. I don't know if that'll happen. But nonetheless, I don't think you have to worry about the QB power. But also, you don't have to really worry about this passing game too much. That's the thing. If Jameis Winston was in Tampa with those weapons, or anywhere else with decent weapons, you'd be a little more worried about him. I'm not as worried here. What I say you do is stop the run and make them beat you with the pass with this makeshift wide receiver room. That doesn't mean you play lax on defense. This might be the game, though, where you get a little more aggressive with where you're playing your depth at, so you can aid in the run. And I wouldn't be opposed in third down situations to play in more man coverage in this game. People in the chat are going, did Clayton just say he wants man coverage? This is the game you probably want to do it so you could fire a little extra pressure on Jameis Winston. And you can play the run with man coverage if you run blitzes. You may be able to do that because these receivers, I feel very confident in our cornerback room and safety room handling this. Carrington Valentine, 74.5. Jacob, he is the 10th highest graded corner in the league right now. We did a breakdown on him last night. I don't think he's a top 10 corner. That's me personally. When you look at the passer rating with target, I don't think he's a top 10 corner, but he's damn sure a number 1 corner. He's a top 32 corner in the league. That's exciting, man. You see 57, 65, and now this year, 74.5, man. Absolutely love it. As Jen Wright says in the chat, Carrington Valentine winning those reps against that wide receiver room for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a really good, surprise to see because in that opening rookie years, you see his progression too. He's on that arc that we like to see of him making consistent progress every single season. And to Jen's point, when he's kind of had the lights shined on him now, he's not perfect. Definitely room for some improvement, which that grade, if he keeps on that trajectory, he should be in the 80s next year, right? Yeah. So he's that type of player. I like what I was actually going to ask what J. Cole is referencing here. Do you think that that's one of the reasons that Dable lost his job because they felt he was being careless, trying to maybe keep his job just by running that dude into the dirt?
I think it was that, and I believe there was reports that came out that he was cussing Kafka out. I think it's Kafka. You guys correct me in the chat. Whoever their OC was, he was cussing him out in front of the team and everything. So ownership's looking down going, okay, he's not winning. He just ran our quarterback into the damn ground with these concussions, right? Our first-round pick, by the way. I think he was first-round pick. He may have been second, Jackson Dart. And then on top of that, he's blaming the OC for this. You guys remember when he got his first concussion, Jackson Dart did, Brian Daboll went into the blue tent.
That's right.
And came out cussing. Like he was mad that they had him in the blue tent getting him checked for a concussion. So there's just been a lot of stuff building up there, and he is a little bit of a teapot. He's one of these Belichick tree guys, right? If you guys don't know, he coached under Belichick. Then he went to Buffalo, and he basically helped mold and groom Josh Allen into the dual threat quarterback that he is. That's what got him the head coaching job with the Giants, right? And now it looks like he may jump to Penn State. So he's taking the whole Billy Teapot route. Billy Teapot, if you guys don't know who that is, Bill O'Brien. He went to, he worked as the OC with Tom Brady in New England. He goes and gets the head coaching job in Houston, does a good job with Deshaun Watson, I think the first year or two, and then they fall off the map. He goes back to New England. I think he went back to Alabama. He came back to New England, and then he got the head coaching job at Boston College, and it looks like he's ran that into the ground this year. So with that being said, you'll probably see Brian Daboll possibly at Penn State next year. Maybe the rumors are Penn State, but he may end up back in college football. So I wouldn't be surprised if Daboll ends up at UNC with Bill Belichick, to be honest with you. Nonetheless, neither here nor there. Just Jay asked, and that's kind of the evolution of how everything happened. The point was Brian Daboll's a hothead. I think there's multiple reasons why he got ran out of New York, to be honest with you. So,
yeah.
Kind of is what it is. But.
It's kind of interesting, kind of highlighting Valentine and just the lack of weapons they have. So Prize Picks, the only wide receiver that they're even touching and giving any sort of over-under is Wan'Dale Robinson at 57.5. Otherwise, it's Theo Johnson, as I talked about. Their backup, Daniel Bellinger at tight end, and then 2 running backs. So they're not touching any of it.
Yeah, and that Wan'Dale Robinson, he's probably the only target they truly got, in this game. I still don't feel good about that over there. Do you?
Yeah, no.
So again, Carrington Valentine, 74.5. Javon Bullard, Jacob, up to a 63.1 now on the slot. Keyshawn is now dipped to a 63.9. But nonetheless, when you look at that, what you have on your team is if you just removed everything, and I'm not saying anybody should put this much stock in it. Let's just play devil's advocate for a second. If you removed everything but PFF, Carrington Valentine's a top 10 corner, okay? Keyshawn Nixon is a 37th graded corner, so that's a true number 2. That's a high graded number 2 corner, okay? And Bullard is a very highly graded number 3 corner, seeing that he comes in the nickel in the slot when they're in 11 personnel to 63.1. The big thing the last couple games, though, is Javon Bullard's coverage is actually starting to peak a little bit. We looked at the passer rating when targeted last night. His passer rating when targeted is better than both Carrington Valentine and Keyshawn Nixon. May not be grading out as good, but his coverage grade has improved to a 63.7 this year. His PFF grade last year, 54. This year, 63. This is exciting, Jacob. Javon Bullard's starting to look like that player that we hoped he was coming out of college, that we expected to be and Evan Williams ended up being, and Javon Bullard kind of took a step back. But what do you think about your boy Bull, man? He's trending in the right direction.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think that these grades do him justice because they're just. He seems like he's always around the ball,
Always.
and very key situations too. And he is the type of player that I can't even tell you guys how much it must have frustrated other Packer fans when we had the days of like Ahmad Carroll and guys that were just so timid to come up and make plays where they'd patty cake around or they'd take on a block and just, you'd see the gains and the yak just absolutely accruing because you knew that the corners weren't willing to come up and just lay the wood. And this dude, I mean, he's the reason that we came up with the human meat missile acronym, because when you'd watch his highlights in college, I mean, he was just flying around, and I'm really, really happy that he's continued that. But he does it in a seemingly smarter way, so where he doesn't let himself leave the ability of him to get injured. Kind of like when remember when Ja was young, he used to throw his body around, but that's how he broke his arm or whatever. Bullard seems like he's really, really good at the technique of actually knowing how to come in and lay the wood pretty hard. Pursuit, I think, has looked well. And like to your point, his coverage is finally starting to come around, which is always kind of the biggest thing with him.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, like you said, the thing I noticed about Bull, and me and Tim have talked about it a lot. What's up, Corey? Appreciate you swinging through, man. The biggest thing about Bull is he tackles and he plays run fits like a linebacker. Truly does. He looks like a linebacker. Now, the problem is sometimes in coverage, he looks like a linebacker too, right? But at the same time, though, that seems to be improving. That's really, really exciting stuff. So, and then Keyshawn Nixon, of course, we kind of talked about. Let's move to the safety room. Xavier McKinney, don't look now. Remember, he struggled this year. According to PFF, he's all of a sudden the 10th highest graded safety at a 75.0. We know, if you look at the passer rating when targeted, which is the reason I cross-checked that, McKinney he's had the best passer rating when targeted of any safety in the league, pretty much the entire league. He's definitely top 3 there, or has been the entire time. And of course, Evan Williams, 73.5. He's playing damn good football, man. I'm really, really excited about him. And we kind of talked about Edgerrin Cooper and Quay Walker already, but Edgerrin Cooper having another good year, 72.0. But again, what you've got here, Jacob, is you've got 2 guys in the safety room that would be number 1 safeties on just about any team in the league. And that's really, really exciting. And listen, that helps people like Carrington Valentine too, right? It allows them to maybe play underneath a touch more. And when the schematics, the assignment doesn't truly suggest that, because you got McKinney and Evan Williams back there patrolling. I love the fact that 1 second Williams will play spur, the next second McKinney will play spur, and you never know who's buzzing out of cover 3. You never know who's robbing out of cover 1. And like we seen this last game, the play where Devontae Wyatt got like a tackle for a loss of 6 yards on Saquon Barkley, you look at that and go, man, what a great play by Devontae Wyatt. But if I remember correctly, they were actually calling a 33 fire there, meaning a Evan Williams blitzing off the edge, which really kind of blew up the run game. And Devontae Wyatt was able to get a clear lane to the running back. But his run defense has improved tremendously too.
Yeah. To your point, I mean, we just talked about how Bull is kind of well-rounded his game. Evan Williams, when he came in, I thought too that we both were worried about his coverage ability. I think that now he's really learned a lot from McKinney, but he still has maintained, I think, that kind of like dog mentality that Bullard has, where he's shown he's not afraid to come and blitz, not afraid to lay his body out on the line. He's great, I think, in the run fits, tackles for loss. I have to think that he's probably got a few under his belt, because it seems like he's just always around the ball. He's always flying around. And when you have I would consider McKinney more of like the field general, maybe a little more coverage master than the other 2 guys. But when you have that kind of rotational safety room, like you talked about, where they're kind of interchangeable in a lot of ways between McKinney, Williams, Bullard, and then we haven't even seen guys like, Oladapo and Zane, who in a pinch have came in and looked really good in their limited times too. So it just seems like, again, Goody, that with 1 draft and 1 offseason kind of completely revamped that safety room. I think that now that the cornerbacks are finally getting a little bit more respect on their name, like you talked about with Nixon, it just seems like if these guys can all start playing together and really be cohesive as we get down the stretch, I mean, they already are playing out of their minds. The offense we just got to kind of put together a team win, because the defense is just consistently showing us that they're dogs, man.
Yeah. Jordan Dixon Reed in the chat says our running game should hopefully get going this week. I do predict a Carrington Valentine pick 6 as well. Go Pack go. He almost had one last week. If Jalen Hurts had thrown to the receiver rather than he kind of air mailed it high and outside, maybe he did that on purpose. I imagine he probably did. But Carrington jumped a route underneath.
That's right.
If Carrington had taken that to the house with a pick 6, we win that ball game too. I'm just sorry. There's so much momentum flip and everything about that I'm telling you, man, there was some plays in that game. It's just like, if that goes our way, we're talking about, man, the Packers gutted out a gritty win against the defending Super Bowl champs. We got that monkey off our back where we can't, we don't play Philly well. And it's a totally different storyline this week. Instead, you lose by 3 points and everybody's ready to be fired. It's just amazing. So, but yeah, I agree there, Jordan. I think he's got one on tap here soon. So there you go, guys. That's going to be the PFF preview. Again, that's our defense against their offense. Let us know in the comments if you're watching this back later. How do you feel about how we match up against their offense? Obviously, they're banged up. You never listen. You don't let them off the mat. You keep your foot on their throat and you put them down early is what we got to do. We want to know what you guys think in the comments. Let us know how you feel about our defense matched up against the Giants offense. Also, hit subscribe and click that bell icon so you're notified when we go live here in the future. Jacob, I want to jump into just a couple of Patreon questions, then we're going to go around the league. I'm really excited about that. We have Randy Cleavers asked the other day. He says, what are we going to do about the offensive line? We are cheeks before, and now without Jenkins, we have problems. I personally think, Randy, and I could be wrong, I don't think the offensive line is going to struggle any worse than they have without Elgton Jenkins. What I've seen out of Sean Ryan against a really, really good defensive tackle group there in Philly or against Philly at Lambeau, I think Sean Ryan's going to be fine. The problem is Sean Ryan was one of the backups in depth. So if you get one more injury, now you're in trouble, right? So you got to really, really take that into consideration. Might want to be scouring the free agent wire and see if you can find an old veteran to come in and help with a stopgap if for some reason you do get into more injury problems. That's how I see that. Pack Rob says, Dirtbag Watch, Scott Novak is the head ref for us this week. And, of course, I always respond with, what a dirtbag. Just such a dirtbag. So appreciate that information there. Packer Jeff says, Kurt Warner had a great review of the Eagles game. A lot of pass concepts were fine. When J Love reads it and rips it, it's all good. Was at the game Monday and met Tuck's Uncle Jay. Great guy. Good stuff. I guess he's talking about Tucker Kraft. That's absolutely awesome. That's the way I came away from that video as well, Packer.
Yeah, real quick. Speaking of dirtbags.
Oh, look at this guy, right? Look at that handsome gentleman.
Ugly guy.
Mike Hebring, super fan with the chat here in question for the show. Obviously, before his injury, but is it possible Matthew Golden just isn't performing to the standard in practice? I have no reason to believe that, Mike. Of course, I'm not there, but everybody that I've heard talk about Matthew Golden, he's impressed. I think the problem is more along the lines of the scheme. Like, you're not going to have a receiver go out there and it's just, okay, he's going to dominate, he's going to dominate, he's going to dominate. As you can see last week, Jordan threw to Bo Melton several times, right? He got more targets than most of the receivers that should have gotten those targets, right? But we also seen Bo Melton drop passes wide open. The reason the ball went to him over someone like a Romeo Doubs or a Christian Watson or what have you is the scheme is designed to open people up. Now, you can try to put Matthew Golden in a situation where he gets the majority of those targets that's going to be open, but guess what happens? If you put Matthew Golden in the F, let's say he's playing in the 2 on the right, they're going to clamp down on Matthew Golden and take the 2 away. Guess what's going to happen? That's probably going to warrant you throwing backside to the boundary X and going to Dobbs on an out route. And if you watch the tape truly, you see, oh, that's why he went with the ball. That's what Kurt Warner does so well, right? You see, that's why he went with the ball. But if you're not watching the all-22 and truly trying to understand, all right, what's the scheme call in that situation? Is it true progression? Is it a high-low read? Is it just a half a field read? Whatever the call may be. If you don't know that information by watching the all-22, we just look up and go, well, damn, why's Bo Melton getting all the targets and not Matthew Golden, right? My problem with the whole Bo Melton thing was, why is he on the field over Savion Williams or Malik Heath? That was strange to me.
No.
Savion, I think he had a little bit of a foot issue. I haven't got complete confirmation there, so that makes a little more sense. But nonetheless, that's kind of how I see that. But I'm with you, though, Mike. I want to get him more involved. I haven't heard anything or have any reason to think that Matthew Golden hasn't been performing to the standard in practice. But thank you for the question, everybody. So that's going to do it for hour 1. For those of you listening on the pod, we'll see you on the other side for hour 2, where we're going to go through NFL Week 11 slate of games and give everybody a quick preview, rankings. We're going to really key in on the NFC North and talk about the playoff implications that are on the line. We'll see y'all over there. All right, Jacob, let's move it along here, man, to the Week 11 preview. Do you enjoy doing this type of stuff, man?
I do.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things, man. I just love kind of looking at the outcome or the outlook, I should say, on the upcoming week. I think it's absolutely awesome just seeing what's on slate for football coming up this week. Let's jump into it, man. Obviously, the game has already been played. The Patriots beat the New York Jets 27-14. That was a lot closer than I expected going into the second half. But Patriots get the win. They improved to 9-2 over the Jets, who fall to 2-8. So the 9:30 a.m. game tomorrow, Jacob, is going to be the Washington Commanders at the Miami Dolphins. Both these teams are 3-7 right now. This is going to be played in Madrid, Spain. So you got the Commanders, obviously an NFC team. I really don't care who wins this game, to be honest with you, man. Maybe if the Commanders beat them, maybe Mike McDaniel will get fired, or we can get him in-house as an assistant or something. That'd be kind of cool. He's a really, really good running game mind, by the way, but it's obviously not working in Miami. So you got anything to add to that game there before we move along?
No, not really. Like you said, if the Dolphins can maybe just knock down the Commanders a little bit more, to me that would make a little more sense. But like you said, I like that weirdo Mike McDaniel. Let's bring his little weirdo butt over to Green Bay and just have him kind of, do the mad scientist thing with Josh Jacobs. That sounds all right with me.
Yeah, there you go. All right, moving along. The 1 o'clock window, we got the Panthers at the Falcons. The Panthers are 5-5 going into Atlanta, who is 3-6. All right. Not a whole lot of playoff implications here. I guess the Panthers are still technically in the hunt. The Falcons, it's going to take hell and half of Georgia freezing over for them to make the playoffs. But Panthers probably have the upper hand here. However, Falcons being at home, you never know. I'm rooting for the Falcons there because I want to continue to beat down the Panthers' opportunity to make the playoffs. So anything there you want to add to the Panthers-Falcons matchup as they're 5-5 and 3-6?
Yeah. Bryce Young, continues to kind of struggle, go up and down in his career. They've got him slated at 163.5 pass yards. They got Michael Penix at 225. So it does seem like they're thinking that Atlanta may be a little more explosive on offense, but I'm cool with rooting for the Falcons for this one and just kicking the Panthers down a little bit. People think that was such a terrible win. They got 5 wins. They're
right.
They're still in it.
Absolutely, man. Next, you've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling to Buffalo. This has got to be the Tony Romo game of the week right here. Here's the guy. Actually, no, I don't know, Jim. Right? So the Bucs are 6-3. The Buffalo Bills are 6-3. The Buccaneers are 4-1 on the road. The Bills are 4-1 at home. Something's got to give here. 39 degrees. Looks like it's going to be partly cloudy. Cold weather game there at Buffalo at Orchard Park. So obviously, I'm a Bills fan for this game, man. Let's hope the Bills go in there and kick the crap out of the Buccaneers somehow, some way. If that happens, then the Bucs are obviously going to fall to 6-4, and that helps the Packers' opportunity to make the playoffs on down the road as well.
Yeah, I've always said if I wasn't a Packers fan, I probably would gravitate towards being a Bills fan.
Same.
I don't know why. It just kind of feels right. I also had a guy that I played high school football with that was drafted by the Bills, so that was kind of cool. But that being said, I think that the market is kind of looking at what you said being a cold weather game and kind of slobber knocker. They got Josh Allen only slated at 213.5 passing yards and Baker Mayfield only at 205.5. So wow. I think they might be expecting maybe a defensive battle, more of a run game battle, but old school football, I feel like that's going to be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, moving along. The Houston Texans at the Tennessee Titans. Texans come in 4-5. The Titans are sitting at 1-8. It looks like it's going to be 65 degrees and beautiful down here in Nashville. So I think Texas probably go in there and get a dub. Not a whole lot on the line for me in terms of that. Maybe are the Titans going to continue to kind of revamp everything? Maybe they make a complete overhaul. I don't know. They got to get ready for that new stadium, Jacob. You used to live in Nashville. It's ugly down there right now, dude. They're 0-4 at home.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think about that stadium, first of all? Do you like it? It's got way more of a college feel. Nissan Stadium?
Their current field, right?
Yeah.
I personally like it. It's got a lot of sentimental value to me. It reminds me of Commonwealth Stadium, where it's called Kroger Field, where Kentucky plays. So it's kind of that same type of dual stands. You got some of the press boxes in the end zone, or just some of the cool stuff in the end zone. I personally like it. And, they moved from Houston to Nashville right when I got out of high school, and I moved to Knoxville. So met a lot of Titans fans down there in Knoxville. And it's just got a little sentimental value to me. I personally like that type of stadium, but I'm going to hate their new one that for some reason you're in Nashville and you're going to build a damn dome. It's my
It's tough. No, I personally really like the stadium too. To your point, me and my old roommate Moonshine, who was a Cowboys fan, we would just go and buy tickets for dirt cheap, and I'd wear my Packers uniform or jerseys, and he'd wear his Bears, and we'd have people just taunting us and yelling at us the whole game. It was great. But yeah, I see the Titans probably going to drop one. Unfortunately, Texans. I think Davis Mills actually is a better backup than people give credit for.
Yeah.
Seems like he plays with a lot of heart. So he's slated at 215.5. Cam Ward only at 181.5.
There you go. All right, moving along. This is one of the games I'm most interested in right here, man.
Oh yeah.
I hate that it's in the same window as the Packers, but you've got the 6-3 Chicago Bears going into Minneapolis to take on Jacob's second favorite team, the 4-5 Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are 1-3 at home. The Bears are 3-2 on the road. The Bears are definitely hands down playing way better football than the Vikings right now. However, here are the rankings, guys. The Chicago Bears offense is now 11th in scoring in terms of points per play. Right? The Minnesota Vikings defense is 20th in points per play allowed. So you would give the advantage to the Bears there. However, as Lee Corso says, not so fast, my friends. Chicago's defense is 29th in points per play allowed. Minnesota's offense is 15th in points per play on offense. Okay. So you can kind of see where the strengths lie in each of these teams. With it being in Minneapolis, I'm going to give the edge to Minnesota 20-17 that they win that game. And if they do, all of a sudden, if the Packers take care of business against the Giants and the Lions drop to the Eagles on Sunday night, we'll talk about that in here in a minute. All of a sudden, the Packers back in first place in the North, if I remember correctly. We'll double check that on the playoff simulator here in a second. But how do you feel about this Bears at Vikings? You think the Vikings can pull off a dub at home, man?
Man, it feels like blasphemy for me to even admit that I want to see the Vikings win. You guys know how strongly I feel about my hate for that team, that city, the fact that I have to watch their local news channels when I am in Wisconsin and I pay Wisconsin taxes. That being said, I hope that they absolutely just go bear hunting. It'll be opening deer season in, I believe it's Minnesota at that time. So, go bear hunting, man. Go and get some pelts, put them on the wall. And then, like you said, if we do handle our business and if the Lions have a little mess up against the Eagles, then we're right back in the thick of things and leading the division and have I would argue probably, gosh, I don't know the metrics, but I have to imagine it'd be over 90% chance of making the playoffs at that point. Because even with the loss last week, I believe Ryan said we were at an 82% chance of winning. So now that we're into this division, but that being said, anything can happen in the NFC North when they play each other. Who knows? But I really am unfortunately pulling for the Vikes.
I just hate this is a 1:00 game because if it was a 4:00 game, as soon as we wrapped up our post game show, we'd jump right into just calling this game. This would be
fun. It'd be fun.
So anyway, there you go. Bears at the Vikings, another game to watch. Now, of course, you got the Packers at the Giants. Packers 5-3-1. We're 2-1-1 on the road. The Giants are 2-8. They're 2-2 at home. We've broken that down pretty extensively. We'll just kind of move it along there. Bengals at the Steelers. The Bengals are 3-6. Steelers are 5-4 in Pittsburgh. 46 degrees and partly cloudy is the forecast. Another 1:00 window. I like the Steelers' chances there. Although there was rumors that Burrow might be getting close to coming back. I don't know if we've heard anything about that or not, Jake.
Yeah, I know he was practicing, but I don't know. I feels kind of weird that they'd force him back that soon. But who knows? I'm not a doctor. I would probably. Aaron Rodgers is still playing good ball. I think they have the momentum. That's probably what I would go with, but not too sure about it.
All right, it should be a fun one though. But anytime division rivals get together like that in the Northeast, or Northeast-ish, I should say, it is in Pittsburgh. Obviously, the Bengals are. Some people don't consider it Northeast, so out there in Cincinnati in the Ohio Valley. But that's going to be a fun game to watch, I think, man. Definitely pulling for the Steelers. Me personally, I'd love to see. I'm still holding out for Packers Steelers Super Bowl. I want to see Aaron Rodgers against Jordan Love for the Super Bowl. Must-see TV.
Crazy, bro. That's crazy.
Awesome.
I think they're looking at this game being a high-scoring game. They got Flacco at 257.5 and Rodgers at 237.5.
Man, that's going to be the Geritol Bowl there. Remember those two old cats? That's going to be absolutely awesome. Seriously, they're going to bring them both out on walkers.
Just real easy, like. They got the Velcro shoes on. Yeah. Bates is saying that Burrow returned to practice on November 10th, so he's in that 21-day window to return to active. Thank you, Bates.
Appreciate that, Bass. So probably not playing tomorrow, I can't imagine, right? So they just opened up the window. You never know, though, man. You never know. Macaulay Culkin's tough, man, once he grew up, right? So, or Kevin McAllister, I should say, sorry. Next in the 1 o'clock window on CBS, you've got the LA Chargers 7-3 traveling to Jacksonville Jaguars 5-4. I like the Chargers' chances of winning that game. They've been good on the road, 3-1 on the road this year. However, the Jaguars are 3-2 at home, 77 degrees and sunny down there in Jacksonville. I like the Chargers in this one, but we'll see how it goes. You never know, man. Funny things happen on the road like that when you have to travel across the country.
Yeah, I think the Chargers are kind of been a hit and miss team, but they still have a great record. I think they know how to put it together. Herbert's slated at 254.5, so they feel like he's gonna be able to move the ball around pretty well, it looks like. And then Trevor Lawrence at 169.5.
Nice. Jordan Dixon reading the chat said Clayton got me feeling things with this Steelers versus Packers Super Bowl. It would be wild, man, for sure. It would be absolutely wild. All right, moving along. Let's start the 4 o'clock window. The Seahawks at the Rams. Jacob, this is going to be a damn doozy right here, dude. The Seahawks 7-2. They're 4-0 on the road. The Rams 7-2, same division, right? And they're 3-1 at home. Something's got to give here. This is going to be absolutely awesome. The Seahawks defense is humming. Sam Darnold's been playing good football. Sean McVay's got the LA Rams playing good football. Their defense is nothing to overlook as well. This is one we're going to keep our eye on in that 4 o'clock window. As we go live for our PTA post-game show immediately following the Packers game, we'll be keeping a close eye on this one because there are playoff implications on the line here.
Yeah, that might be a fun one to call. They're expecting, it looks like, a high-flying affair here because Matthew Stafford is slated at 270.5, Sam Darnold 251.5. And I mean, it makes sense. Those are some potent offenses, some very talented defenses. That's going to be a fun one right there. That's got to be the game of the week, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's going to be, that's got to be, who would it be that calls that game? That would be
Aikman and Buck.
No. They're with ESPN now. Remember, this would be right. Tom Brady. Tom Brady, man, you get him on a podcast, you get him talking ball. I could listen to it all day long. You get him on a telecast, and it's like, I don't know what to do with my hands. I don't know what. I just don't understand. The only thing I can come up with is the production crew at Fox are trying to give him advice on what to do. Just shut the hell up and let the go.
Is he with Tirico? Who is he with? I can't even remember.
He is with, I can't remember his name. Is it Tom Brenneman maybe? Somebody like that. I could be wrong. You guys let me know in the chat. But
Bates, let us know. Come on, Bates.
Yeah, it's somebody that's like, I don't consider him upper echelon, although he's probably been calling games since before I was born.
I like Kenny Albert.
Burkhardt. There it is. Thank you, Timmy. B. Timmy said, yeah, Burkhardt. So appreciate it. Yeah. All right, moving along. Got another AFC or NFC West showdown here in the 4 o'clock window with the 6-4 49ers going down to the 3-6 Cardinals. 49ers probably go down there and take care of business, but the Niners are 4-2 on the road. The Cardinals are 1-3 at home. The Packers already beat them on the road this year. Probably going to be the Niners in this one, although I am going to be a Cardinals fan. We definitely want them to beat the 49ers in this one.
Yeah, go Birds, go Cards, whatever your guys' chant is. Jacoby Brissett slated. It looks like they're going to get Brock Purdy back as well, so that doesn't bode too well for Cardinals fans. But you never know. Brissett played good against us. He could play good, and it's the NFL, so anything can happen. Brissett slated at 227.5, Brock Purdy at 254.5, so they expect him to have a pretty good resurgence coming back from the injury.
Got it. All right, continue with the 4 o'clock window. The Ravens at the Browns. This is the 4-5 Ravens and the 2-7 Browns. This is not your grandpappy's Ravens team, and it is your grandpappy's Browns team, though, at 2-7. So, Baltimore probably goes in there and take care of business. But listen, guys, I'm hoping the Browns win. What I want to see happen is I want to see the Ravens, when they come to Lambeau Field at the end of the year, I want them to be out of playoff contention is what I want. Problem is they're just one game behind the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, if I remember correctly. So, with that being said, I'm with Jay. Ravens probably win by 40, but I'm rooting for the Browns because I want the Ravens to come into Lambeau and go, yes, let's put Lamar on IR. Let's just scrap it up for the year. We'll reset next year. Injuries got us this year, top thing. So how do you see this one, man? Do you see that the same way? Do you want the Browns to win, or am I overlooking something there?
No, I mean, obviously I want the Browns to win. Is it a long shot? Totally, 100%. But that being said, the interdivisional games, again, like we talked about, those guys hate each other. Those teams absolutely got bad blood, and so that sparks a whole different type of ball game when you go into those, regardless of what the records are. And honestly, for the Ravens, they'd probably feel a little embarrassed. And the Browns probably like, oh, we're only 2 games under the Ravens. Like we could score 1 and we're almost neck and neck. I mean, they might be playing for something actually there. So I'm excited. Do I think it's going to happen? Nah. I'll still go put a buck down on the Browns having an upset. That'd be fun, but that's probably all that's going to happen is I'll just get excited for a couple hours and then reality will set in. But
this next game here, I'm not saying this will put the Chiefs out of the hunt, but I do think it's going to be very, very, very telling of how the rest of their season is going to go. The Chiefs are 5-4. They're 1-3 on the road. They're traveling to Denver to play the Broncos, right, who are 8-2. They're 5-0 at home. If the Chiefs lose this game, Jacob, and listen, all signs are pointing to the Broncos should win this ballgame. They got an undefeated home record. Mile High's been rocking this year, whatever they're calling it. Besco Field at Mile High / Tullet, whatever. I don't know what the hell they call it. But if the Chiefs lose this game, boy, their backs are going to be against the wall because the Broncos are starting to run away with this thing big time. And what's wild to me, though, if this is accurate, 70 degrees in Denver for this game, that's absolutely wild there. So maybe somebody was high over there at AccuWeather when they put that report in. But nonetheless, Chiefs at the Broncos. Broncos playing damn good football. We got to face them here in a few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, the Broncos are firing on all cylinders. Peyton's got that team just playing very, very almost, I wouldn't say perfect, but they're about as close as you can at home. Obviously, got the perfect record there. The Chiefs, not so good, 1-3 in away games. I mean, it is interesting. They have Patrick Mahomes slated at 263.5, so they do feel like he's going to come out and start chucking the ball, which honestly is probably what they have to do against the Broncos team. They could score on offense. I'm really like their defense, the way that, that Nick Bonito, I don't think he gets enough credit for him being just an absolute stud. And I would hope that the Broncos, never thought I'd be a Broncos fan after what that stupid John Elway did to me when I was a little boy. But
that sounded really bad, Jacob.
I stand by what I said. He hurt me. All right. My dad, I cried. My dad's like, we don't cry. Anyways, it's a long story. I look for the Broncos to go ahead and take the win there, send the Chiefs licking their wounds and actually having to be they'd be an even team. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. All right, man. J. Cole in the chat said Chiefs will use devil magic to win the game. That's a fact. Right there.
Yep.
That's a fact. Jerry in the chat says Broncos are on the edge of losing half the time. I bet they choke. All right, we'll make a note of that. If they do choke, we'll give Jerry credit for that for sure.
I'll have to remember that.
All right. Up next, the Sunday night game of the week on NBC/Peacock. Been waiting all day for Sunday night, Jacob. This is a doozy. You got the 6-3 Detroit Lions who are playing damn good football right now, going into Philly to face the 7-2 Eagles, the number 1 seed in the NFC. The Lions are 3-2 on the road. The Eagles are 3-1 at home. You're looking at about 44 degrees and clear skies. Beautiful night for football. Just a little bit chilly. Man, I hope the Eagles throat stomp the heck out of the Lions in this game. With that being said, the Lions are playing damn good football right now, man. Who are you rooting for in this one, Jacob?
Go Birds, which I hate. My old roommate was a diehard Philly fan, and it stinks that they've kind of, it's them and KC right now. I think they're just the perennial dogs that you have to worry about. And the Lions are right up there too, and that pains me to say as well. But I think if Jalen Hurts goes in there and, does what they do and just plays smart football, they're just too good in the trenches, man. And I feel like the Lions are a little more weak in those areas compared to years prior, just from a lot of the retirements, the injuries, all that kind of stuff, still not getting healthy. But like you said, man, they're biting kneecaps. I hate to admit it. Dan Campbell seems to year in and year out put together a good squad of guys that play absolutely very physical football. And that's what they're going to need if they're going to try to beat the Eagles. However, go Eagles. Let's come on, get this over with. I'll just close my eyes and, wait till it's over.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, Lions at the Eagles.
Much like John Elway did to me when I was a boy.
We're rooting for the Eagles to get the win there. We got to get that clip. So we hopefully the Eagles knock off the Lions, and that'll help the Packers' chances of reclaiming the North if everything goes the Packers' way this week. And then, of course, Monday Night Football, boy, they could not have picked a worse game, let me tell you. You got the 3-5-1 Cowboys that are 1-4 on the road going to the Las Vegas Raiders, who are 2-7. They're 1-3 at home. Boy, what a stinker. Jacob, dude, you got anything you want to add to that one? I really don't care who wins that game. I kind of hope both teams lose, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they got Dak slated at 257.5, Geno at 235.5. I mean, this is as close to the Turlet Bowl as we're going to get. J. Cole, he says, Jacob better not hope that no one clips that. You know, Emilio's already going to listen to this, and it's going to be clipped, all right? So I'll wake up tomorrow morning to it as my alarm, I'm sure.
And as Jen Wright says, another toilet bowl. This is the toilet bowl of the week, isn't it, Jen? I think they should just give them both a tie and let everybody go over and enjoy the slot machines. You know what I mean? Just y'all go hang out for this little team bonding activity. Nobody wants to watch this game, right? So, yeah. As Holmes MD1 says, what you think, God never farted?
You think God never farted?
So, yeah, there you go. There is your Week 11 slate of games. Now, Jacob, this is where it gets fun, man. This is when we jump into the playoff simulator. Let's talk about what's on the line. We've kind of given you guys an idea of who we're rooting for this week. So let's go through and pick these games, all right? And we'll throw it into the playoff simulator. Hopefully you guys can see this okay. Now, listen, we'll pick the AFC teams, not that it really matters. But let's just kind of – first time through, Jacob, let's say what we think's going to happen. Then we'll clear it off, okay? And then we'll jump back into, okay, best case scenario, worst case scenario for the Packers, if that makes sense. So, with that being said, Washington at Miami, who do you got here, man?
I think Washington's probably going to – well, no, yeah, I think Mariota's a better quarterback than people give him credit for. I think the Dolphins are sliding. I think I'll go Washington.
All right, Washington gets that win. The Cincinnati Bengals at the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to go with the Steelers in this one, okay?
I agree.
We'll pick that. Next, you got the Chargers at the Jaguars. Who do you think is going to win that one, Jake?
I think it could be a tougher game than people think, but I'm going Chargers.
Gotcha. I could see that, too, being like a one-score game, three-point game, something like that. Next, you got Tampa Bay at Buffalo. Realistically, we're trying to pick who we think is going to win here, okay? Who do you think has the upper hand? Obviously, it's being played in Orchard Park. Who would you go with there?
I think it's Buffalo.
Buffalo, okay. So Buffalo gets the dub. That helps the Packers a lot, I feel like, long term for sure. Next, you get the Chicago Bears at the Minnesota Vikings. I picked the Vikings to win by 3. Do you see it different? Do you think Chicago goes in there and gets that win?
I think the Vikings win at home. Yeah.
Okay. If it was on the road, I agree with you. Like if it was in Chicago, probably go with the Bears here. So, all right, so the Vikings get the dub there. Houston at Tennessee. Not that any of us care, but who do you think is going to win that? Houston. All right, we'll give it to the Texans. Next, you get the Carolina Panthers at the Atlanta Falcons. Who do you want to pick there?
I think my gut's telling me Atlanta, even though I wouldn't be surprised if Carolina wins.
Let's take Atlanta. All right, Packers at the Giants. Do we both agree? We think the Packers should go in there and take care of business, right?
The real G's, yeah.
There you go. And then you got the Seattle Seahawks at the LA Rams. Who do we think's got the upper hand there, man? That's going to be a hell of a ball game.
I think I trust McVay. I think I'm going LA. That rhymed.
And you do it all the time. All right, San Francisco at Arizona. What are we thinking there? Got to be San Francisco, right?
Purdy's coming back. Got to go San Fran.
Got to go with the Niners. All right. Baltimore at the Browns. As much as I want the Browns to win, I think Baltimore probably gets the dub there. You agree?
Yeah, I do.
All right. Next, you got the Chiefs at the Broncos. Do you think, like Jerry said, the Broncos kind of scraping by, winning these close games. Do you think that the Chiefs go in there and upset them? Or do you think the Broncos come out victorious?
Just because I feel like that the league just wants KC to not be out of it, I think I might have to side with Jerry all of a sudden now that I think about it. It just sounds like that type of game where it'd be a Patrick Mahomes.
Here's the guy. All right, we'll go with the Chiefs, unfortunately. Lions at the Eagles. Remove our Packers fan. Which team do you feel like has the true edge here? And I'm genuinely asking. I'm not trying to sway your opinion. Again, we can pick best case and worst case here in a second. But how do you see that?
I think if it's an old school thumper game, it's Philly. But I think if they get a little tricky, the Lions can squeak one out. If I had to do a coin toss, I'd go 60% Philly.
Okay. So we'll go Philly. I feel like Philly can win that ball game too. The Lions are playing great football. If this was in Detroit, I'd probably side with the Lions. But it being in Philly, I'm going to go Philly as well.
Their fans
and then, of course,
are vicious.
Yeah. And then you got the Cowboys at the Raiders. Who cares, right? Let's say Raiders just so they can both look even suckier, right? So there you go. So if all of that unfolds, and again, that was us, what our prediction would be on which teams are going to win. I promise you we did not hit on 100% of those. I promise you. We'd be lucky if we hit on 50%. That's the league, right? But here's how the playoffs would shake out. In the AFC, the number 1 seed would be the Patriots. The 2 seed, Indianapolis Colts. 3 seed LA Chargers, 4 seed Pittsburgh Steelers, 5 seed Denver Broncos, 6 seed Buffalo Bills, 7th seed Kansas City. So even with Buffalo winning that game, right? Actually, no, not Buffalo. Kansas City did win their game. So Kansas City winning that game, they're the 7th seed. This is a good example. Let's say the Broncos beat the Chiefs. All of a sudden, the Chiefs are out of the playoffs.
Ooh,
So you can kind of see what's on the line there, right? And also, if the Broncos win that game and everything unfolds the way we just said, the Patriots are the 1 seed. If the Broncos lose, if they win, they're the 1 seed, and the Patriots are now the 2 seed. You're starting to see how everything's starting to unfold. Really, really cool. We did say Chiefs, so we'll flip it back. All right, now, with all that being said, let's say I think we actually picked best case scenario of how we think this week's going to go, right? Philly beating. This is just strictly NFC North, right? So Philly is the number 1 seed if everything falls the way we just said. The number 2 seed is the LA Chargers. The number 3 seed is your horrible, fire everybody Green Bay Packers, okay? And NFC North leading Green Bay Packers. The number 4 seed would be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The 5 seed would be the Seattle Seahawks. The 6th seed would be San Francisco. The 7th seed would be the Detroit Lions. And the Bears are officially out of the playoffs as of that moment, okay? So with that being said, that's best case scenario and what we thought probably would happen. Okay. Now let's go back and go worst case scenario. Okay. Let's say that the Bears beat the Vikings. Just that game alone, their Bears beat the Vikings. Everything stays the same. Now the Bears are the NFC North lead, but the Packers are still the 6th seed. See what I'm saying? So we actually moved up a seed if that were to occur. Now, let's say the Lions actually beat the Eagles, all right, on Sunday Night Football, and the Packers still beat the Giants. Now what you've got is the LA Rams are the 1 seed. The Lions are now the number 2 seed, leading the NFC North. Eagles 3 seed. Tampa Bay Buccaneers 4 seed. The Bears would be the 5th seed. The Eagles would be the 6th seed. And the Packers would be the 7th seed. Moral of the story, the Packers go out and take care of business and beat the Giants. And everything else goes wrong, the Packers are still the 7th seed. See what I'm saying? So you're still in the playoffs there. Now, if the Packers were to lose to the Giants and the Bears win and the Lions win, the Packers are out of the playoffs officially, okay? And now the Bears are the 5 seed, the Lions are the 2 seed, and I think the 49ers sneak in as the 7th seed. That makes sense. So that's what we think will happen. That's best case scenario and worst case scenario. So with that being said, going back to what we think is going to happen, this may be what we're looking at here this week following week 11. If the Packers take care of business, the Vikings beat the Bears, the Eagles beat the Lions, we're sitting here in the lead in the NFC North going into week 12. Thoughts, Jacob, comments before we wrap up, sir?
Yeah, I mean, I love this exercise just because it does show you how close. I mean, 1 or 2 games can drastically reshape the whole aspect of the playoff picture. It is. I think the NFC North, I think you'd have to argue, is probably one of, if not the most competitive divisions in the NFL, which is, equally fun to watch and freaking nerve-wracking. That Seattle LA matchup is pretty awesome to see how that dictates kind of the top and the bottom. I think that this may be the deepest playoff seed that we've had in a long time. As far as the NFC goes, for sure, there is just really competitive teams that on any given Sunday, who knows the outcome. And it's a little more dominant, I think, over in the AFC as far as what that playoff picture looks like, and a little more top heavy. But still, even then, if you're telling me that the 7th seed is going to be Kansas City, that's scary. You know what I mean? So it's a very, very interesting playoff escape that we're getting into for this year, and I'm just excited.
Yeah.
And overall, just the fact that Packers fans need to relax.
I'm sorry, you cut out there, Jacob. What'd you say, buddy?
Just saying that Packer fans right now need to really pump the brakes on this absolute fire everyone. Matt LaFleur sucks. This guy sucks. Forget, we're ranked
I agree, man.
3rd. Like, let's just chill.
Yeah, everybody, RELAX. Let's do this. We got a couple minutes here, okay? We got about 7 minutes. Let's jump ahead to week 12. Let's leave that set the way we just had it, all right? So next week, let's just focus on the NFC North teams alone, okay? So coming into next week, week 12, we'd be the NFC North leading team and the number 3 seed. The Lions are the 7th seed. The Bears are out of the playoffs, okay? Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers travel to Chicago. Last I checked, Aaron Rodgers owns the Bears. Guys, the Bears defense is 29th in the league in points per play allowed. They have a horrible defense, right? But their offense is borderline top 10 all of a sudden, right? And it's mainly because of their running game. The running game is really, really come along nice under Ben Johnson. So How would you see that? The Pittsburgh Steelers going into Chicago. Jake, if it was anybody other than Aaron Rodgers playing quarterback, you're going to get your best version of Aaron going into Chicago, seeing that he's the self-proclaimed owner of the Chicago Bears franchise. Do you think Pittsburgh can win that game?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I do.
Let's do it. Let's click the Steelers to win that game. All right. And then let's go. We got Packers hosting the Minnesota Vikings. That's gonna be a huge game, man. Look at Jacob Grinch. He just got sick of the stomach a little bit.
I did.
So let's say the Packers win that ball game, and then you get the Lions hosting the Giants, right? I think we both agree Lions take care of business at home right there, right?
Yeah.
So with that being said, if that happens, then next week the Packers are still leading the North at 7-3-1. The Detroit Lions are the 7th seed, okay? And the Bears are out of the playoffs once again. Okay. Now let's say the Packers win and the Lions win. And let's say the Bears do knock off the Steelers. Okay. They're still out of the playoffs. See what I'm saying? So that's kind of what's on tap there. Now let's look at how the Packers could potentially climb up in the NFC rankings. We would be at 7-3-1. The Rams are above us in the 2 seed at 8-2. Remember that tie that everybody was so worried about, right? Watch this. If next week Tampa Bay goes in and beats the Rams on the road and we take care of business, nothing changed. Okay, so we're still at 7-3-1. We're still the 3 seed there, right? Now, let's say the Rams win that game and they kind of really pull away. The moral of the story is if Tampa knocks off the LA Rams next week and we take care of business like we think we can against the Vikings, if that happens, then what you're essentially looking at is we are this close to passing the LA Rams up as the number 2 seed. Guys, when you log on to Twitter and you listen to fans talk about this season, if you were to try to compare yourself, your Packers, to the LA Rams, you would get raked over the coals. Oh, this Packers team is horrible. The Rams are so much better. We're this close to passing them up in the number 2 seed. We're also this close to falling out of the playoffs, which is exactly what Jacob was saying and how close this NFC is. So any thoughts on all of that, Jacob?
Can you click if Carolina were to beat San Francisco, what that does to the rankings?
Absolutely. So if the Panthers beat the 49ers before the 49ers are the 6th seed, if that happens, the Niners are out of the playoffs and the Bears are now the number 7.
Dude, This is getting fun.
Getting good, dude. I'm telling you. And let's see who else we got in here. Seattle. Let's see who Seattle plays, right? Seahawks are on the road in Tennessee. No chance there, boys. I mean, they're going to take care of business down in Tennessee. What if the Titans upset Seattle, though? Wouldn't that be hilarious? Let's give the Seattle Seahawks the win here, okay? Nothing changes for them. They're 8-3, and the Packers are still the 3 seed. They're the 5 seed, right? So that's what you're in position for. Now,
what if Dallas were to beat Philly?
If Dallas were, that's the division rival, right? If Dallas were to beat Philly, Philly's still the number 1 seed. They got room. They created some cushion. That win over the Packers was so huge, man. I mean, it sucks that the outcome turned out the way it did, but boy, oh boy. Let's say that the Eagles do beat the Cowboys. Now, let's look at the bad part here, Jacob. Let's say the Packers, everything we've already said, let's say the Packers lose to the Vikings. If that happens, the Packers fall from the 3 seed to the 7 seed, and the Lions are now the 3 seed. The Bears are the 6 seed. The Packers are the 7 seed. So you got 3 of the 4 NFC North teams in the playoffs if that happens. So again, the moral of the story is take care of business this week against the Giants. You actually give yourself a little bit of cushion, right? And what it really comes down to is for the remainder of the season, the Packers can lose 2 games, still win 11, which I predicted they would be at this year, right? 11 to 13 wins, ceiling 13, no less than 11 wins. If you lose 2 of the rest of the season, you can lose 2 games and still finish with 11 wins. You're going to get in the playoffs. It's going to be – I don't see a scenario where the Packers win 11 games and they don't make the playoffs, okay? So with that being said, when you look at the remainder of the Packers schedule, it's going to come down to, I think personally, I think it's the Broncos. The Broncos, and there was another team too. Let me pull up the schedule real quick. I don't want to misspeak here. So you've got, for the remainder of the games, Giants, Vikings, Lions, Bears, Broncos, Bears, Ravens. There's 3 games there. You could lose any of these. You could lose every one of these games. I want to be very clear. Like the way this season's gone, you could lose out. You could also win out and finish with 13 wins. However, the 3 games I'm most concerned about are on the road in Detroit on a short week for Thanksgiving, on the road against a great Denver Broncos team, and then you got the Ravens at home. Me personally, I could see it being you lose to the Lions on Thanksgiving Day, you lose 2 weeks later on the road in Denver, and then that Baltimore game is going to come down to you winning, you're in the playoffs. At Lambeau, cold as a well digger's ass. That would be absolutely awesome setting for Lambeau Field. And I might just have to purchase tickets to that one if that's the case. So,
There you go.
there is your playoff outlook for the remainder of the season. Jacob, parting thoughts, man. Let's wrap this thing up. I gotta get ready, and we're going to go to dinner tonight, run around. So no show tonight. We'll just be doing, like I said, just this one. And the content we'll break down for everybody on the podcast.
No, I mean, like I kind of said, it shows how tight this race is coming into the final stretch here, how important it is for our team to start gelling together. Our offense needs to complement the defense, which needs to complement the special teams, which needs to get their stuff together. The sky isn't falling. We still have a really, really good team. We have a lot of talented players, some of which that we could even be getting back with the resurgence of maybe Jaden Reed and guys like that, where, we did not have them. Obviously, losing Tuck sucks, but you had to look at what Fitzpatrick, Musgrave, and now Wiley. I mean, we've got some talent still in key positions, and we just got to put it together, and we can make a pretty good deep run. If not, let's, like Clayton said, let's see that Steelers-Packers rematch for the Super Bowl. How historic and awesome would that be? In the meantime, have a little bit of, chill, man. Just enjoy the ride. We're still ranked very, very highly. We get 1 or 2 wins, and we almost, like Clayton said, cement at least some sort of chance in the playoffs, and that's all you can ask for year in and year out.
Yeah, and listen, I know there's some people that aren't happy with the results of the season so far. I completely understand and relate. If you win against the Browns and you win against the Panthers, right, if you win those games, then you're sitting at the top of the NFC. So I completely understand where you're coming from. But I'm with Jacob. We got to pump the brakes. We're talking about firing the 14th all-time winningest coach in history. Somebody asked me yesterday, said, man, if he's so that high, where does he's got to rank top 5 for the Packers, right? No, he's actually second. In Packers franchise history, the only coach that Matt LaFleur's winning percentage is underneath is Vince Lombardi. That's it. Mike Holmgren, Mike McCarthy, Curly Lambeau, all the great Packers head coaches over throughout history. Matt LaFleur is only behind Vince Lombardi in winning percentage. Now, people immediately go, yeah, but how many championships has he got? Fair point. Completely understand. But just want to point that out. So, all right, Jake, appreciate your time, man. It's good to see you back in here. Hopefully you get to feeling better. And, we'll plan on seeing you. Will you be with us tomorrow for the pregame show, sir?
Yeah, I should be.
All right, it'll be a fun one, man. As the team, I'm sure they've already traveled. If not, they're in the process of traveling to New Jersey. They may be staying in the big city. I don't know. But, man, when they say that's in the swamp up there, the swamplands of the Meadowlands or whatever, I drove through up there 3 years ago, flew into Jersey, rented a car, and just drove on the Jersey side with the Manhattan skyline to our right. It's a beautiful ride. I looked there and said, oh, there's a Jets field. Damn, there is water everywhere. It's right in the middle of a swamp. It's unbelievable. So it was wild. So anyway, that's where they're at. We'll be bringing you guys all the live updates from MetLife Stadium. We'll give you live footage from there, the actives, inactives, all that good stuff for the PTA pregame show. And the beautiful thing about the 1 o'clock window, as soon as we wrap up the postgame show following the game, we'll jump right into the results and give you guys an updated look at the standings, the playoff simulator, all that stuff. So appreciate everybody hanging out with us. If you would, hit like, hit subscribe, click that bell icon so you're notified when we go live in the future. We'll see y'all tomorrow, 1.5 hours before kickoff for the PTA pregame show. Everybody have a wonderful day. Bye.
Here we go.
Bye, guys.